going on, everybody? Welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is Confidence Factor Talks. My name is Rudy LaRose, and as always, I'm in the building. But I got a special edition today. Me llamo Rudy LaRose. Estoy en el edificio hoy porque tengo mi hombre, mi hermano, especial hoy por ti. Make sure you watch, man. Your boy's ready for this show tonight. Woo! I'm on fire. I'm excited. Estoy emocionando por el día este día, right? Because I have a very, very special guest in the house tonight. Make sure you guys don't even walk away. Don't even blink for a second, because otherwise you might miss what is said for tonight's guest. So I'm gonna keep you on a little like guessing to see what's coming out. But in case you don't know, you are on the greatest show on earth, the Confidence Factor Talks, every Tuesday night at 6:30. We are here live with very special guests tonight. It is my honor and my pleasure to bring my special guest on the show tonight, my brother. But before we do, you know we have some simple house rules we gotta follow. First of all, if you haven't had a chance, be sure to go to facebook.com/StreamYard. Again, StreamYard.com/Facebook. I do that all the time. StreamYard.com/Facebook to add your Facebook to the comment section. Otherwise, we have no idea who's commenting. And also, make sure you mention where you're representing from. John, I see you. Larika, I see you. Facebook user at the gate, DC. That's gotta be Coach Wayne. I see you. Welcome to CF Talks. We're excited to have you tonight. And as we get started, I cannot start this show without my partners. Not in crime, but just my partners, all right? We ain't talking about crime tonight, although we're going to talk about a little crime tonight, but that's not what the show's all about. Tonight, it is fire as we bring on, all the way from Orlando, Florida, all the guys. I'm going to just bring them all tonight, all the way from Orlando, Florida. Make some noise from all of them. Just bring them all. Just bring them all to the stage. That's how we doing it tonight.
What's up? What's up?
CF in the building. CF in the
Wait,
building.
we're missing one. You know what? Just leave him there, because he's going to be a special. I'm going to leave the last lion there, because he's going to come on and just bring the fire interview, all right? So
bro, you said all the way from Orlando. You know, he's 40 minutes. You know how far he is from us.
I did. You know what?
And everything else, right?
we left him in the background.
Listen.
Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome.
I like how we match it right now. We match it with the shirts. Listen, I'm telling y'all, we didn't coordinate this. This is all vibration right here.
Right.
Yes, sir.
This is vibration.
We got Newark, New Jersey in the building. We got a heart level user. We got Hawaii in the building. We got Florida, New York, Japan, Hong Kong, China, Australia, Jamaica, New Zealand, Haiti, all of them. I don't care. I'm just calling all the countries. They are all on stage tonight.
Bro, bring our brother. Bring our brother up, please. Bring our brother up, please.
He feel left out.
Bring him up. Bring him up.
It's the doctor himself, Mr. Bobby B.
Boy, I tell you. Yeah, you making me feel like I like a lion, like I'm trying to catch up to the rest of the pack. Maybe I'm trying to strive. Yes, sir.
Welcome, man. This is exciting, guys. Tonight is truly exciting. As you can tell, I'm the only one that didn't get the memo. You know what I'm saying? They told me the color, but they didn't tell me what else. So I had to do my little Miami thing, okay? So y'all excuse me, because I'm going Miami on you guys tonight because of our special guest, man. I had to honor him. I know he loves his jackets. He is a friend, a family, and everything else. So I had to honor him tonight, man. Guys, are you guys excited or what?
No, man, I'm really excited for tonight's conversation, man. As you know, this is Confidence Factor Talks. We're having heart-level conversations that lead to transformation. And so tonight, listen, there's this old quote that if you want to know the journey ahead, you got to ask those who are coming back. And we have somebody who's coming back after being on a long journey to share his life story, his lessons, some business lessons. It's going to be phenomenal. But as you know, in Confidence Factor, our mission is really simple. It's to empower the lives of over 5 million men to do what? To pursue their purpose, their passion by developing what we call your confidence factor. And of course, in this community, it's all about unleashing. You see the lions, right? It's unleashing your riches. And what are we talking about? We're talking about your relationships, your income, your contribution in community, your health, your education, and of course, your spirituality. So when you unleash, you know how to live a successful life, but you live a fulfilled life. And that's the theme of tonight's conversation, is really going from, making different types of decisions in life early on that may take you down a particular path, but then of course, making new decisions in your life that brings you back to a stage where you know you can be of service, know you can be on purpose, know you can have true fulfillment in your life. So this is Confidence Factor Talks. It's going to be a phenomenal conversation tonight. So if you're watching tonight, hashtag live. And if you're watching replay, put hashtag replay, of course, right? So we're excited about tonight's conversation. We have a special guest, so I'm not even going to hold it up. I want you guys to kind of take it over, bring our guests on, and then let's get this show on the road, because it's going to be fire.
It is, man. Yes, indeed it is. And without further ado, man, listen, usually we go on the show, we do our thing, we bring our guests later on, but sometimes you have you know how you have these people when they come to your house, you go to that cabinet. Well, maybe my grandmother did, but that cabinet, the special cabinet where you go and no kid have ever been allowed to touch the fine china. You bring out the china, you know what I'm saying? And then you go to the living room. The one with the plastic still on it. That's what I'm talking about. That we rolling out the special sofa, we rolling out the special china tonight, because we have a very special guest for you guys tonight. He is a friend. He is a brother. He is someone that I've known for several years. I've known his family. I've known his legacy. And deeper, these past few days, I've gotten a chance to know him even better through his story. That is all over YouTube, as a matter of fact. All over the internet. You can Google him. You'll find him. But before we bring him on stage, I want you to watch this real quick.
I wouldn't even have said they were drug dealers. They were buying ounces on the streets and reselling it. And they told me straight out that they were drug dealers. And suddenly they began to ask me to handle their drug operations in the United States. Because I was young, I was bright in their eyes, and at the same time, I had a very clean record. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, and I didn't use drugs. Who would suspect that young kid that was put through school at the University of Miami by the Federal Reserve Bank is a drug dealer? Little did I know that this little rinky-dinky grocery store would be the original front for what one day would become the Medellin drug cartel, importing 95% of all the cocaine that came into America. Within 3 months, I was making $1 million a month.
He flaunted it every single way you could imagine, to everybody.
I have a Lear jet. I have a Jet Ranger helicopter. I lived in a $7 million ranch. I had a $500,000 house on the ocean, a condo in Vail. I had a 53-foot yacht. I had spent $160,000 in the speedboat. I looked around one day, I had $1 million worth of cars. I didn't walk away because I got arrested. I didn't change my life because I'm sorry I got caught. I walked away because I wanted nothing to do with that world.
He speaks at over 30 youth rallies every year and is now establishing a center for counseling and working with youth.
Now, my passion is to make more money so I can send 1 million books and help prisoners to find hope and to find redemption and to look at the world that, hey, if George Valdes changed, I can change too. It doesn't matter how we fall, what matters is how we get up.
Ladies and gentlemen, mi hermano, mi familia, Mr. George Valdes in the building.
Thanks so much, Rudy. It's really a pleasure to be with you guys. I mean, I don't deserve all that accolades, man. Where's my t-shirt?
Welcome, brother.
You,
welcome.
Brother. Yeah, it's an honor to be with you. We've known each other for a long time now, and I got tremendous respect for you. And when you asked me, I couldn't say no. Like I told the other guys, even though I've been prohibited from doing any more podcasts
Right.
for the rest of the year till our movie comes out sometime next year. So, but yeah, it's fun, and I'm here with you, and I'm excited to see what the show has to bring us.
Awesome, man. Well, I know 5 guys who's going to do a special movie premiere when that movie comes out, right, fellas?
That's
I
right.
mean, we are ready. We've been literally for the past few weeks watching every single videos, interviews, Netflix series. I mean, you name it, we've been watching it. And man, we've had such a tremendous time learning about your legacy. And so what I'd like to do tonight is have our special correspondent, Mr. Bobby B, be the legend to interview you tonight.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Dr. Valdes, again, we honor you. We thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us tonight. And listen, what we know is that for every adversity, every heartbreak, and every failure, it brings with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. But what you experienced was huge, right? Like you were way, way, way up at the mountaintop, and then you came way down. Could you talk to us a little bit about your story for those people who did not get a chance to see the Netflix special, and maybe they're just showing up right now and they're like, who's this guy? And why is all these people tuning in from all over the world, checking him out? Why is he so important? Can you give us a little bit of your story to kind of bring us up to date of what you experienced in the past, who you were in Miami, and where you ended up going?
Sure. So, one of the things that, just a couple of things to qualify. When Netflix came to me for 3 years, and I kept telling them, no, not interested. And the reason being was because I felt that they were going to do the same thing they all done. You want to take the script. Here's the general script. Poor kid, drops out of school, joins a life of crime, becomes very wealthy, lives a lavish lifestyle, kills people, goes to jail or die. You can put Pablo Escobar, you can put El Chapo, Sal Willie, any of them. That's the same script. It ain't my script. It's different. My story is a lot different, as I'm going to tell you. But I finally agreed because I insisted that they put that episode 6. Because something that I always want to say when I get up, when I do an interview, is this. I'm always very cognizant, very, very cognizant that, yes, a lot of people are going to look at it and they're like, wow, what a lifestyle. I mean, I was making $3 million a month at the age of 21, 1977 money, And I dated the most beautiful woman in the world, the cars, the mansion, all that. But there's always going to be a mother that's going to see that and going to say, because of you guys, I lost a child. There might be a wife that said, I buried my husband. There might be a child that says, I live without a father because of something you were so instrumental in the beginning. So I asked that they put that last episode and they show that, listen, this doesn't end real. This is not a real life and it doesn't end well. It's there's a lot of victims. You think that it's a victimless crime. There is no such thing as a victimless crime, And the truth of the matter is that anyone that gets involved in a life of crime has got one characteristic. He or she's a selfish person. Don't give a damn about the kids, about the wife, about the family, everybody that really, truly gets hurt. So I always like to qualify that because, I know that we live in a world that there's 2 things that social media and television do. They entertain or they educate. But we really just are hungry to be entertained. I've been turning down Hollywood for 25 years. I've had multi-million-dollar offers to do my movie because if you saw Cocaine Cowboys, Kings of Miami, technically, according to them, I was the first king. I mean, and nobody knows how it all began. Everybody thinks that the drug world began with Pablo Escobar. Well, not true. There was a huge world before that. If you see on Netflix, the first episode, where the first big major drug bust, and I'll get to the beginning of my story, but the first big major drug bust is in Miami called Operation Video Canary in 1978, where they arrest 130 people, and they were all selling ounces and grams, maybe a kilo here and there. Shoot, I was bringing in 700 kilos a month for 2 years. They didn't even know my name. They had no idea who I was until my attorney betrayed me. which is something I'll get into later on. But, I insisted that I wanted to tell a different story. I wanted to tell a story that mainly allows the world to know that there is faith in this world, that every decision we make in our life becomes part of the story of our life. If your life is a movie, every choice you make becomes a scene in that movie. But we're not defined by those choices. We can change. There is a God that forgives. We can reinvent ourselves. We can become better. Because something that I've really been, meditating a lot on is there's so many circumstances in our life, so many, that can strip you of everything you have. Literally. As I'll tell you, share with my story. I mean, last time I got arrested, I forfeited $60 million to the government. And I went to prison without a dollar to buy a candy bar. So there's a lot of things outside of your control that can strip you of everything you have except one thing. One thing. And that's the freedom of the choice to react to what had just happened to you. Very, very important. Life can strip us of everything except that freedom that we have to make a choice of how we will react to what had just happened to us. So that's really, really important. Because if you look at my story and you've seen many, I posted tons of videos and I've done a lot of interviews. I've been on every major YouTube channel, Vlad TV, Valuetainment with Patrick David Bett. And, I was just a young kid that came from Cuba and from a very rich family, and not knowing why we're coming, except my mother did not want to raise her kids in a communist country. My mother was very, very, very religious. And everything for her was God, God, God. And, I was just 10 years old, my brother 9, my sister 5. Suddenly we're put on an airplane. My mother gets left behind. And we're taken to Miami in 1966. And 11 of us are sleeping in the floor of a one-bedroom apartment, writing down what time we're going to take a piss. At that moment in my life, I made a decision. Man, my mom is freaking crazy. There is no God. Fidel was right. God is just religion. Is just for the weak. God is going to be whoever I make him out to be. And one of the main things for me was I didn't want to be poor. I mean, literally for the first 2 years in America, a lot of people don't realize that many of us Cubans couldn't go to the bathroom where the white people went, and the racism that existed, it was horrific. I didn't understand that. We didn't have that in Cuba. So, but, all we would have is 2 raw eggs in the morning with some Vietnam milk that would not mix. I still can drink milk till today. And at night, rice and beans. That's all we ate for 2 years. Didn't have anything. But I knew, my father was just a man of tremendous integrity. And he was like, hey, son, in life, you got no control whether you're rich or poor. And I'm like, no shit. I mean, I can see that myself. Healthy or sick, dead or alive. Son, the only thing in life you got absolute control is your word. And because of that word, I laid in the floor of a Panamanian prison, being tortured day and night for 20 some odd days, to the point that I bled. I passed blood for 5 years every time I pissed, because I was not willing to break my word. So that's why this world becomes very difficult for me today, when people don't give a damn about lying. They love to follow people that are liars, and it doesn't matter. And then we'll give colors. Hey, there's a white lie, there's a red lie. A lie is a lie. So, I thank God that one of the main things, that because of what my father taught me and what I went through in my life, you can Google me till Jesus comes, and you'll never find one single human being that will say anything negative. And that did not just happen. That was on purpose. I went through a lot in my life so that my children would never have to bow their heads at another person because of their father, because of the choice of their father. And that was so critical to me. So, but I did it the right way. I mean, all the alcohol in my life, by the time I was 20, fit in a little teacup. You know, recently I gave a big speech and it just dawned on me. I'm like, you know, it's really interesting. Shoot, I never had sex till I joined the Medellin cartel. I'm like, crap, man, I had to join a drug cartel to be able to have sex. Now, I'm not telling people that that's how they need to go about it, but, you know, because I worked full time. I was the youngest employee in the Federal Reserve Bank. I started working for them at the age of 17. So I worked full time during the day and went to University of Miami at night. So I had no life for 4 years. And when I was about to graduate, my accounting professor asked me to come work for him. He was a partner at Price and Waterhouse. He moved to Miami, didn't speak Spanish. You know, Rudy, which is good. I'm happy to hear you speak Spanish because we do know that it's going to be the language in heaven. If you don't speak Spanish, man, you're going to be messed up there, you know. So if you want to be able to talk to Jesus, because, you know, I am convinced that he is a Cuban, by the way. So if you want to talk to him, better read, better understand Spanish, brothers, because if not, man,
ya tú sabes.
You're doing sign language, man. So anyway, he's like, hey, do my Spanish clients and I'll give you an office, secretary, you know, all the things that I dreamed of being on my own one day. And I went and it was that little grocery store that you saw in the video. And I remember the first day I went there and, you know, there's, I don't know, $300,000, $100 or $207,000, whatever it was. And then I'm like, wow, I didn't think nothing about it. So, you know, I made a deposit slip and I took it to Barnett Bank, as a matter of fact, deposited the money in. You know, nothing said. There was no money laundering laws or anything like that time. The next week I come and there's another $75,000. Now this is just a little strip, you know, in a strip mall, not a stripper mall, a strip mall in Miami. Those little, you know, spaces. You know what I'm talking about. And I mean, literally, that thing must have been like, I don't know, 20 feet wide and 50 feet deep. And the third week when I went in, I saw another couple $100,000. I'm like, no, something's got to give here. And still never crossed my mind that this had nothing to do with anything illegal. So I called the owner and I'm like, hey, look, let me explain this to you. There's a little accounting formula here. You buy a can of Campbell's soup, which I took off the shelf. I said, you buy this can for $1, you sell it for $3, you make $2 profit. So he's just nodding his head. I said, the problem is I've deposited over $300,000, $400,000, and all you bought is about $2,500. And he looked at me and like, oh, yeah, we're not in the grocery business. We're drug dealers. This is just a place to hang out. And I'm like, what? I'm working for drug dealers? You know, and I'm like, you can imagine this kid that I didn't have a traffic ticket. I did nothing in my life. And it took me about a minute to come to my senses and realize, hey, I'm an accountant, man. I count money. You know, they can do whatever the hell they want with their money. So they looked at me and they're like, hey, you work for the government. You know how to open foreign bank accounts. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how much? And I knew at that time, because of an audit we had at the Federal Reserve Bank, that it was about $700. And I just said on the top of my head, $10,000. And they're like, can you open 3 for us? My world, needless to say, my world changed that day, right? I mean, I was making I think minimum wage at that time was like $1.50, and I was making like almost $4. So I thought I was very rich. For $160 a week, all of a sudden I'm going to make $20,000 out of this transaction. But, you know, one thing led to the other. And within 6 months, they asked me, like, they kept saying, like, hey, I want you to run all operations for us in the United States. Now, these people had airlines, construction company, coal mines, emerald mines. I mean, they're very, very, very wealthy people. And they're like, and I'm like, I kept saying, like, nah, I handle the money. You know, I open up a shipping company for you guys. And one day, trying to get rid of them, I'm like, okay, you want me to handle everything for you? I mean, literally, I'm like, I'm just going to make them a stupid offer so that they can kick my butt all the way from Medellin, Colombia, back to Miami, and I'm done with this. I said, make me equal partners and put up my side of the money. I ain't got no money. And I remember that I went back to the hotel that night, And I'm like, man, done. I'm over with this because it was really tiring. And in the morning when my driver came to pick me up, he's like, Don Manuel wants to see you. And I'm like, I must have forgot something. We're talking about we had this big refrigerated ship that we had bought in California, and we're remodeling. And so I went back to the office, and there was the other 3 partners. And man, they were stoic looking, and they were like so dead serious. And I'm like, oh crap, man. I insulted the crap out of these people. They're gonna kill me. What the hell have I done? How stupid can I be? And they looked at me and they're like, fine. We've talked about it. We agree. And I'm like, agree to what? You handle operation, you'll be equal partners. I'm like, you guys, why would you want to do that? I'm like, why would I don't even know what cocaine looks like. What the heck? I've never done anything in my life. And they could be talking about it. I'm handling millions of dollars for you guys. And they're like, you'll figure it out. We trust you. By the way, there's a load coming in 30 days. Now I got to figure out. So I'm 21 years old. All of a sudden I got to figure out, how do you bring it in? Well, they had that basic set up. Who do I sell it to? How do I transport it over there? What do I do with the cash? How do I make sure I don't get ripped off? On and on and on. But within 6 months, I was, handling all the operations, and I was making between $1 million and $3 million a month. And I thought that my life that's it. That I was that. It was the greatest thing in the world, because we think that when we reach, there's two things that most men or women search for: power and pleasure, right? Sigmund Freud said pleasure. I forgot what the other philosopher said, power. And it's true. If I look back in the cartel, that's really what most of them thought. But the truth of the matter is, none of those two, if ever achieved totally, will bring you what men or women really are searching for, which is meaning to their lives. What were we created for? Who are we? What is our purpose in life? I mean, with such a great creation, do we come here to what? Live, suffer, and die? That's some type of a sick joke. So what is our purpose? And, recently I wrote a while back, I wrote a blog that said, I'm 21 years old. I date the most beautiful women in America, in the world. I have $1 million worth of cars. I have jets, helicopter, mansions, and I want to die. Everybody wants to be me, and I want to die. Because when you search for those things and you think you've reached them, and you realize that, what next? Well, there's no next. This is it. This is what everybody says is it. So what do I do now? Why am I miserable now? Why am I not happy? Everybody wants to have what I have, and I'm just late, because we all lay in bed at night. We look at the ceiling, but most important, we wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and ask ourselves, do we like what we see? And honestly, I did not like what I see. I did not like what I had become. So there it is in all.
Dr. Valdes, that is just, man, you first of all, brother, you shared a lot. You shared a lot, and it is deep. So there's a few things going on. First of all, we have so many questions from the audience and from the other Confidence Factor brothers. Everybody has questions for you so far. And I want to get to some of those questions. And I also want to ask you something. You said, hey, listen, I had a clean background. Everything was, I was working for the government. I'm a good kid doing the right thing. And then in walks this, quote unquote opportunity, right? And now you're kind of tossed and thrown into this whole new world with all this money going through your hands and, the ability to pretty much do what you want. And you're saying, hey, your life had no meaning and no fulfillment there.
Yeah,
is that about
exactly.
Right?
No, exactly. Yeah. We draw lines, right? We draw lines that we don't want to cross, and we're like, this is it. This is what I'm all about. This is my mission. But the thing about it is we don't realize that if we do cross that line, there's no way to cross it, to uncross it. And then just becomes slippery slope, right? I mean, think about it. No alcoholic starts drinking a gallon of whiskey. He dies. Or no drug addict shoots an ounce of heroin. He dies. He or she dies. So it's that little bit incremental where we justify a lot of things in our life in search of nothing. Really nothing when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That and you know, that's the whole point of our community here, right? Is that we help men to pursue their purpose by developing their confidence factor. That is, you know, what we live on here. I think Darian shares it all the time. It's one of his favorite sayings. He says, hey, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And so, you know, a lot of people have money running through their hand, but what does fulfillment look like to you? In your case, now we know, kind of, you know, getting ready to fast forward and transition here, you end up going to prison. And in the process of going to prison, you said, hey, you know, you had to turn over $60 million and you didn't have a dollar to your name. What was your mindset like upon going into prison? Did you think, hey, I'm going to make it out of this, or everything's going to work out? Did you think, you know, they say, hey, sometimes we're in these high pressure situations, it turns into fight or flight. Did you think, hey, let me grab a plane and take off and never come back? I mean, what were some of the things that went through your head prior to that? That's my question for you. I want to know the mindset going in, because a lot of times, you know, going into prison, people think that that's the worst thing in the world that could happen. And you can't bounce back. It's not possible. You're going to be nothing in society ever again. So, you know, what was your mindset going on? Did you think, hey, I will bounce back from this, I can come back? Or did you think this might be the end of me? And then I got a few more questions from our listening audience as well.
Okay, so there was two times. Number one, and I'll run right quickly through it, is so in 1979, I wasn't happy making just $1 million to $3 million a month, but it wasn't the money. It was that thrill, you know? So I made a deal with the government of Bolivia. Things went wrong, and I ended up crashing over the jungles of Panama, tortured by Noriega for 20 some odd days. And I knew I would not break, that it was just no option. I was begging him to kill me, because in my mind, to live the rest of my life without integrity, without honor, just didn't make no sense, right? So I came to the United States. I was charged with heading the largest drug conspiracy in the history of America. I was given the highest bond ever, $7 million in 1979. I had just turned 23 years old. Went to prison, had a blast, came out of prison after 5 years, and went back to the same thing. But then the world had changed, and there was a cataclysmic moment in it. And that moment was an event that's going to become a major part of my movie, because there's those moments that really define you as a person, right? There's a moment when the old person dies and the new person is born again. And I'm not talking about just being born again Christianity or whatever, just you're reborn. And that moment was, I'm partying with some Hollywood celebrities and I'm having a blast. And my ex-wife dropped my daughter at my ranch, and the head of security brings her to me. And I was shocked because I wasn't supposed to be visiting with her. So lo and behold, I tell the maid, keep her in her room. In the morning we'll have breakfast. But somehow in the middle of the night, she got away from her room and from security and came knocking in my door, and started saying, "Daddy, it's Crystal." And that moment in time is when I would have to die. That was the moment in time when, here's the only thing in my life that is sacred and pure. Here's my 2-year-old baby. Just draw yourself a picture. You're in a boat and your child falls over the water and they're about to go down, and you're trying to reach them and touch their finger as they drown, right? So I chased all the women out of the room. I told them, go out the window. And I went into the shower and I couldn't brush the filth off of me. And I was shivering. For a guy that 60 minutes that ice ran through my veins, I was shivering. When I thought that she had gone to bed, I opened the door, but she was still crying there on the floor. And I said that moment, my life will change today. Now, we know when we need to change. Every human being knows when they need to change. We just don't know how, right? And I didn't either.
But I knew one thing: if I'm going north, I'm going to go south. If I'm going east, I'm going to go west. But I'm walking away from this life. Now, walking away from the cartel at that time meant, in my mind, that I had a month to 2 months to live, that they would kill me because we didn't have a very good retirement program. No 401k, none of that stuff. So, but it didn't matter because I had to save my daughter. See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in life, who survives those traumatic moments that life brings you? Those very difficult times in your life that you just don't understand. Those that have a purpose. Those that have something to fight for. And we see that if you study the Holocaust, you see that those men that survived the Holocaust were the men that just would not give up, that they had a purpose to live and a greater purpose, a greater good. And they survived, and they fought, and they survived. Well, I did. So long story, 3 years down the road, they come and got me. They could not stand that I had retired multimillionaire, and they wanted everything. And Jeff Sessions, who became Trump's attorney general, said, little money, lots of time, lots of money, little time. But you know what? It was that moment in my time that I couldn't fight anymore. I had to come clean. It was done. I knew I couldn't hurt anybody, right? Because statute of limitations run out on everybody, but I just couldn't do it anymore. I've been fighting these people forever. So I decided that, fine, I'll forfeit it. They wanted everything. They knew how much toilet paper I consumed. They had a task force for 3 years following me. And in that moment in life, that really, really transitional moment was when I went into the county jail after signing over all my assets, and I hear this guy screaming, Milky Way, Milky Way. And I'm like, what the hell are you screaming about, man? I was in a daze, right? And he's like, hey, dude, you better buy some because this is how you're going to supplement that crappy county jail food. And I'm like, how much? He said $1. And it just hit me like a rock. Man, half an hour ago, I was worth 60 million. Right now, I don't have $1 to buy a candy bar. But see, that is the moment when I said something at the beginning of the show that is critical. How do you survive that? Very simple. When you realize you have no control over what happens to your life. No control. But you got that freedom to choose what do you do with that circumstance. So I had the freedom to either say, you defeat me, I'm done, I'm 36 years old, I don't know how many years I'm going to be in prison, I'm going to lose my family, on. Or you're going to say, you will not defeat me, I will come out better, and go to the guard like I did, shook his hand, and say thank you. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, dude, I'm going back to school, and you're paying for my housing, you're going to feed me, you're going to clothe me, you're my best friend. That guy thought I was freaking nuts.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's like, if you look at one of my YouTube channel, you'll see an interview with the first undercover agent in my case. The first undercover agent in my case, named Thomas Thompson, he said he'll never forget. First of all, he says he didn't even realize the DA didn't even realize there was a drug problem in America until they found out about me, a cocaine problem. But he says that he couldn't believe that right after I got convicted, I walked by him and I shook his hand and I said, congratulations. And it was like, people are like, what would you do that for? I said, dude, he's not my enemy. He was my adversary. His job was to catch me, mine not to get caught. He caught me. But you know what happened? See, no longer was he my enemy. And then he realized no longer was I his enemy. So he had no reason to hate me. And guess what? Today, 40 some odd years later, 44 years later, we have lunch and dinner twice a month. And we're good friends. And he has spent years trying to put me behind bars.
Wow.
What we don't realize in life. The problem is we live in a world that's so freaking divided. And if we have different political opinion, it's not an opinion. You're my enemy. And it's stupid. It's stupid
Yeah.
because it eats you alive, right? And I wasn't going to let that happen. So when inmates say, hey, George, sleep 12 hours, you sleep 12 hours, you're going to sleep half of your sentence away. I'm like, that's freaking stupid. If I sleep 12 hours, I'm just going to sleep half of my life away. Hell no.
Yeah. You got to do something with that time. It's still time, right? You have to juice those minutes and get something from it. No matter what environment you're in, you have to, apply yourself to where you're going and not where you currently are. The reality is it never matches up to what we're aspiring to. And something you said is so powerful is I think of if there's no enemy within, there's no enemy without, right? You have peace within, you have peace without. As within, so without. So I have two questions for you. Two people ask similar questions. I'm going to ask both of them kind of together. So one of the questions comes out, it says, and this one actually comes from Rudy. This one comes from Rudy. It says, how did you change your mindset after being tortured all those days? And then we have another confidence factor brother who asked a question. He says, throughout the cataclysmic moments in your life, can you now say that God was with you? Can you now say that God was with you?
You know what? There's no doubt that God was with me. God is always with us. The problem is, here's the problem. The problem is, I listened, my pastor recently said a message that was really, really good. Why a lot of people say they follow God and then they leave God is because they're following a fairy tale God that he called, and I thought that was very cute, and he calls it the Secret Service God. And who's the Secret Service God? He's going to take care of everything around me. Ain't nothing going to happen to me. My Secret Service God will protect me. My Secret Service God is going to make sure that I become rich. My Secret Service God is going to make sure that I have everything and I overcome everything. And that's bullshit. Nowhere does God say that. As a matter of fact, he says the opposite. In this world, you're going to have problems. Be of good cheer, I have overcome. So for me to say, yes, of course, like I get this question all the time. Why is God good to you and bad to me? It's not that God is good to me and bad to somebody else. God is God, right? The question is, how good are we to ourselves or how bad are we to ourselves? We think we're going to sit back and say, God, make me rich. Or, hey, you know what? That dude, I'm going to buy him an airplane, that pastor, because if I buy him an airplane, I'm going to become rich. Well, I don't know what Bible he read. I have a PhD in Bible, and I never read that one. So, the thing about it is we blame God for all the bad that happens to us. And not to say I don't have questions. I always say that I can't wait till I get to glory and drink some of that good wine. I love wine, and I know that I want to drink some of that cane of wine. And ask God a lot of good questions that I have. But the thing about it is, if I did not ask him, hey, God, how come I'm so blessed that I can go to the bathroom and have a bowel movement like a lot of people, as opposed to my friend who had an accident and looked at me and said, I give 10 years of my life to not have to go to the bath, not live with a bag on my side full of, excrement. So if I don't get to ask God, how come I can poop like a regular human being? Then why should I not ask him like, hey, because the truth of the matter is that, listen, God is sovereign, man. But I believe that if he was to dictate everything that happens into our life, then, we can just not worry about what we do, man. Hey, I became a drug dealer. Hey, God, it's your fault. Why did I become a drug dealer? Or when I crashed, in over Panama and I lived. So, yeah, God is everything in my life. Interesting to tell people, and it's really important. I went to prison an atheist. I was an atheist all my freaking life. I did not change because I had this glory moment where God and all the angels in heaven, they said when you repent, they go ahead and there's all kinds of singing. Well, maybe because I'm Cuban, they don't know how to sing Spanish, but I didn't. I went to prison as an atheist, I began to read the Bible because there was nothing else to read. I began to read the Old Testament as a historical book because I've read a lot throughout my life. My father, by the age of 10, my father had made us read every biography of every great leader in the world, and or most of them. And then I began to read the New Testament as a book of morals, right? Because moral people don't kill, steal, bang their neighbor's wife, stuff like that. And then my mind began to change. And then when I realized that what was really important in my life was not me, but others. See, in life we get to choose. This is where people have it all screwed up. In life, we get to choose who we follow, right? All our choice. The problem is we don't get to choose how we follow. But see, we live in a world that people think, I'm going to follow Jesus the way I want to. So I'm a Christian, but I'm full of shit. And all I do is talk bad about people and hate people. Well, then you really need to rethink, because that ain't a label, man. That's a way of life. It's like, hey, you have a job, you can choose to take that job or not. If you do, that job will tell you how much it's going to pay you, how they're going to pay you, and you say yes or no. So we get to choose who we follow. We just don't get to choose how we follow. So for me, my faith walk was a long journey, of a lot of falls and wake ups, and then hungry for realizing that I was created for something greater. And then there's a God who loves me, who forgives me,
Wow.
And
but I had to do the work,
man. I had to do the work.
Yeah.
I just couldn't go back and let him do the work.
Yeah. So some of that work that you did. So one of the questions that we have is, what business did you start after you got out of prison the second time? Because obviously you still got to generate money. You're generating a lot of money. You had to get back to work. You're obviously an entrepreneur. So what business did you start the second time?
So when I got out of prison, I had finished a master's in Bible, right? Because as I kept reading the Bible, then I'm like, shoot, I'm going to become a theologian. I loved it. I loved it with a passion, Now, I had a lot more time than most people to read. So I read a lot. And then when I was released, I finished my master's from Wheaton College, and then I was accepted to do a PhD at Loyola in Chicago. And when I finished my PhD, I was one of 5 Hispanics in the nation with a PhD in Bible. And I had been named a Hispanic doctoral student by the Pew Foundation twice, 2 years in a row. So I was recruited by every major university. And to me, I had the ideal life, man. I was like, teach a couple classes a week. I'm going to have a bunch of pretty girls begging me for an A. I mean, man, I found my calling in life, right? My father dies. And when my father died, who was my best friend in the world, I tell you how my father was. My father used to love to watch movies with me in my house. And all of a sudden, when the movie was over, 9:30, something like that, he would look at me and look at his watch and say, hey, son, you have a busy day tomorrow? Well, little do you know, I'm running a major drug cartel in 5 other companies. So, yes, I said, yes, Dad, I do. And he's like, son, I think you need to go to bed and get some rest. And I would go to bed. And my bodyguards would laugh. They're like, dude, you got presidents that bow down to you. You have hundreds of thousands of people at your command. And your father sends you to bed? Are you afraid of your father? I said, yeah. Hell yeah, I'm afraid. I said, I'm not afraid of him whooping me, but I'm afraid of letting down the men I love the most on this earth. So when my father died and I'm in the shower and I'm just crying my heart out because he was my best friend, he was everything in the world for me, I realized, my dad never gave me nothing. He had nothing to give me. Came to the United States and lost everything. He was a multimillionaire in Cuba and came to the United States to clean toilets at JCPenney's for 85 cents an hour. At the age of 40, without speaking the language, with 3 little kids, 10, 9, and 5. But he gave me his presence. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'm going to quit my teaching and I'm going to move to Georgia. And I'm going to move within 3 miles or 2 miles of my ex-wife. I thought that was about the safe distance, and I'm gonna be a full-time dad to those 3 kids. And didn't know how I was gonna start, how I was gonna feed them or whatever. And anyway, long story, I started a little franchise, little cleaning company. And I figured that, hey, I could clean houses. I could clean toilets. Because to me, there's no dishonor in making a legitimate dollar. To me, the greatest disgrace is not bringing a dollar home to help feed your family. That's my mindset. So we started the little clean company, my wife and I. And because at that time, my book was also coming out, but I had made a vow never to benefit from my story. I didn't want people to say, hey, George Valdes became a millionaire selling cocaine. Now he's become a millionaire selling Jesus. So I've always given away all my book rights, all my royalties, my speaking fees. And anyway, long story, I started that company from nothing in the basement of our house. And in 10 years, I built it into a multi-million-dollar national, international company. And we were doing national catastrophic work, whenever our customers ended up becoming governments. And whenever a major hurricane, wildfire, or anything like that would affect any of that, then we would go in there and restore it, get it ready to be rebuilt. And we built it into a multi-million-dollar national town. We're doing jobs in Grand Cayman, London, everywhere. And then one day, 2008, when we're making more money, you can earn millions of dollars a year. We had a jet again. We had a 90-foot yacht. We lived in a multi-million-dollar house. And I'm sitting in my motorhome because for 3 years, I was in Louisiana for 3 years. And I'm paying all the bills and getting ready to go home. And it just dawned on me, if I keep doing this, all I'm going to do is keep adding zeros to my bank account. I got enough. I have no debt. I got enough to live a super comfortable life. But more important is, I called my wife and I said, you and I were both raised poor. We had nothing. Our children, even though we only allowed them $100 a year during Christmas, think that normal is flying around the country in a private jet. Normal is vacationing in a 95-foot yacht. Normal is living in this multi-million-dollar house. Bullshit. We're moving. And I quit. I sold the company to my brother and my other partner, who were my two partners, and I'm like, I'm done. Even my wife was shocked. She's like, man, you've been robbing Peter to pay Paul for years, and now that you're on top of the world, I'm like, my children are not going to remember that. All they're going to remember was that wasn't there anymore. And so we moved to Cozumel, Mexico, so I could be a full-time dad, and I could show my children people that would miss meals every week, but love God. It's easier to be a Christian in the suburbs. Very easy. How about when you pray, and you're still hungry?
Yeah. Dr. Valdes, man. So you're sharing so much here, brother. Wow, this is just amazing. This is just amazing. It's true, right? We can do things when it's convenient, but can you show up when it's inconvenient for you, right? Can you be the same person? So that is just something. And you mentioned about fathers, and I want to talk to you. We have a question for you about being a father, actually. Here at Confidence Factor, we believe fathers are crucial. How important is it to be present? When all the holidays come around, it's Mother's Day, it's big, birthdays are big, but Father's Day, man, they kind of they just take out the little plastic table, they dump the old socks and wet toilet paper rolls on it. We don't get too much love. How important is our fathers in the presence of the lives of their children? Is my first question. And then the second question that comes from the audience is kind of attached right to that, Dr. Valdes, is someone says, hey, I'm curious, his daughter from 2 years old and having that experience, what did she grow up to do? So what did your daughter end up growing up to do in her life as well? So how important are fathers, and what did your daughter end up growing up to do?
So I'm going to almost work it backwards. About 3 weeks ago, my youngest daughter, who will graduate from college at the age of 20, with a bachelor's in political science, a minor in Chinese, fluent, and headed to Oxford to do her master's at the age of 20. She said this to my wife. She's like, Mom, what did Dad do? He was in jail for 10 years, 2 divorce homes, and yet every single one of us has graduate degrees and very successful. What did he do? So I'll work it backward. I got out of prison the first time, and my son, when I went to prison, was 6 months old. He was 7 now. And I took a suitcase with $100,000. This is 1984. And in my jet, and I took him to FAO Schwartz in New York. And I said, son, buy whatever you want. And if we don't have enough money, don't worry. They'll hold it for us, and I'll pay him. And he looked around, and I want him to buy this Corvette because I'm a big Corvette fan, a little Corvette. And lo and behold, after an hour, he decides I'm done, and he's got a Nintendo tape cassette. And I'm like, damn, man, this kid's a loser. It's got to be his mom. Can't be me. He can have everything he wants, and all he wants is a $10 freaking Nintendo tape. Oh, you got to be kidding me, man. What is wrong with you, kid? I'm going to find me a good psychology. Anyway, years passed, and literally it was only about maybe 5 years ago. He's 42 now, and he was 37. He looked at me one day and said, hey, Dad, you know why I only wanted that tape? Because in reality, what I wanted was you, and you couldn't give that to me. So our children don't want all this shit that we give them. They want our presence. And when people say, I don't have enough time, I say bullshit. Because God gave every single one of us 24 hours. See, at 6 o'clock after I eat, I don't answer that cell phone ever again. And people like, I remember my daughter saying, well, Dad, what if we have an emergency? Well, shit, call 911. What the heck am I going to do? You know? And then in the morning, let me know what hospital you're at. You know, what? And if something happened, why do you want to disturb my sleep that night? I ran the biggest drug empire in the world at that time, and we didn't have a freaking cell phone. We had quarters. And we talked with people face to face. We didn't text. We didn't email. We didn't do any of that crap. So what I teach my children is, number one, you need to have a balance in your life. Spiritual life, first thing we do in the morning, devotionals, my wife and I. I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock every day, do devotional for the first hour. Second, we exercise. We take care of our physical body, you know. Then we take care of how we eat. And then we decide whether we want to be entertained or educated, you know. So everything's about mindset. Doesn't matter how you look at the world. All that matters is through what lens are you looking at the world, you know? So when people say, well, what are you doing to become better every day? So I told my children, I said, if you sleep until 7 o'clock, just remember, some kid got up at 6 o'clock with a 1 hour advantage, tried to be better than you. So remember that. And and the biggest thing that I tell parents, you got to have a vision for the life of your children. If I tell you today, my wife will tell you, and God be my witness, every single one of my kids has turned out to be exactly the way I knew they would turn out to be. I knew my middle daughter was going to be a lawyer because she always freaking argued with me till Jesus came. So she works in Washington for the education department as an attorney. I knew my middle son was going to be a businessman because he got busted selling drugs when he was 16 years old. You know, and he was living with his mom, no controls, come live with me, his life changed. You know, I knew my oldest daughter was always very nurturing, was going to be a school teacher. So she's got a master's degree and she runs all the special ed for her county. You know, and then my other two sons, I know one was a filmmaker now. And then the other one, my daughter, my youngest daughter, I know she's going to be a politician one day because when she was 14 and I asked her, hey, what do you want for your quinceañera, your 15th birthday? She's like, I don't want anything. I've done some research. I want to go to Oxford to study economics for the summer. 14. And I dropped her ass off in Oxford at 14 to study economics. So
Yeah.
but I'm present in their lives. I listen to them.
Mhm.
I don't want to tell you how many sad cases I've had to comfort someone that has lost a child to suicide. And every single one says the same thing. I didn't see it coming, Dr. Valdes. And what do you say, right? Now you can say. But I really felt like saying, really? Or you just were not looking. Because nobody wakes
Yeah.
up today and decides, I'm just going to take my life. We got to realize our children don't need another friend. They need a father. They need a mother. Children will go where it's fun. They will only stay where they are loved. So, that's how I always done with my kids. And and they'll tell you, I've hit each one of my kids one time. One time. I don't believe in spanking because I went through that in Panama, and after a while it doesn't hurt anymore. But when I did that one time, buddy, they will each one tell you exactly that day, that time before they passed out. That day I made it memorable. Memorable. So you just gotta be involved. You gotta listen to your kids. You gotta be very aware who their friends are, because one bad kid will turn 1,000 good kids bad. 1,000 good kids will not turn one bad kid good. So you gotta be tough. But you got the tough love. It's not all about. I think my mother was the best. When she found out I was a drug dealer, she never stopped. Son, what you're doing doesn't please God. Son, what you're doing doesn't please God. And then in the same moment, she was like, all right, son, what do you want to eat today? So she let me know. So she taught me where true north was. And I went all over that, that compass. But I knew where to come back to.
Wow.
And what I came back to that.
Dr. Valdes, oh man, listen, you served us tonight a huge table of food. We ate good tonight. And listen, I want to keep going. I know these guys want to keep going, but we have to stay in integrity. And we know you have other appointments that you have to get to as well. And so we've actually reached our time. But for the people that are watching that want to stay connected with you, maybe something you said that resonated with them, and we're getting so many comments. I really wish we had more time. There's so many people saying this is powerful. Preach. People saying, hey, children want our presence and not our presence. Right? Wow. Our presence and not our presence. Man, fire, flame. Amen. I love it. This is good. So many comments. Such rich conversation you share with us tonight. And this is where we have heart level conversation that lead to transformation. And we firmly believe that you have said a lot tonight that is going to transform and revolutionize people's lives, people that are still going after their hopes, goals, and dreams and aspirations. For those people, Dr. Valdes, that don't know, you have a book. It's called Coming Clean. And for those people that want to stay connected with you, how can they reach out to you to be connected with you, to hear more from you, to keep that transformation going?
The best way to reach out to me, because you can imagine I get a lot of requests, and unfortunately I can't, I cannot help it. So I post every day on Instagram. I post a short 50-second teaching. People tell me, hey, Dr. Valdes, if you tell more cartel stories, you'd have 1 million followers. I'm like, yeah, that's good for you guys that need clicks. I don't need no clicks. I'm a millionaire. I drive a Rolls Royce. I live a good life. I'm here to educate and to make a difference. So that's one way. I post YouTube channel, the same thing. You can stay. If you follow me, you can know more about the major movie that is coming out. We're doing some great things. I'm doing some great things with Dame Dash. Just a great brother, making a big difference. Unbelievable person. We've become very, very close. And that's the way. You can also reach me through my Instagram, and send me a direct message there. And I'll try to get to it. I can't promise I will right away, but, I'll do the best that I can. But, yeah, I have a lot of content in YouTube, a lot of content in Instagram. And, that's the best way that I can help. I'm trying to start something. Maybe just I'm a little lazy right now, but I'm trying to start something that's going to help masses. Is if you go to www.narcomindset academy, and we're going to kick it off next year. And basically, it's a simple membership where people sign up, and then the third Thursday of every month, I'm live for 2-3 hours with the community. But I take them through a whole series of what I consider critical things to build a powerful mindset. And so there's tons of video related to each principle. So they can do the principle, they can do the exercises. I have that same book. I have a journal called Narco Mindset Journal that is very, very powerful. It was written as a result of my son, who at the age of 16 overdosed, nearly died. And by God's grace, I've been fighting with his mom for years to have custody of him. She didn't care. But anyway, he came to live with, I put him in Teen Challenge, which I was in the board. And then he came to live with me. He told people that it was the hardest 3 years of his life. But today, he graduated from UGA, passed his CPA, the first shot. And today, he's the CFO of a big tech company, 32 years old, a multimillionaire. And he's the one that asked me to write that journal, because people ask him, Alex, you're kidding me, man. At the age of 16, you were seconds from dying. And now you're this freaking straight-laced kid with a beautiful wife and a beautiful child living in the island of Malta. How? And he's like, came to me and said, Dad, write those principles and the exercises that people can do through a month, so that in a year they can really reinvent the way they look at the world. It doesn't matter what we see. I tell, and I'll get close to closing with this. I tell the story of a cowboy, a preacher, and a painter. And all three of them are in top of the Grand Canyon, looking down. The preacher said, only God can create this beauty. The artist says, if I can transform what I see into a canvas, it'd be a masterpiece. The cowboy looks and said, man, it sure will be a bitch to get my cows from down there. So all three of them are looking at the same damn thing. But all three of them see something different. So in life, it doesn't matter what you see. It's through what lens you see it. See, I don't know what it means. I can't. I don't know what it means, obstacles that I cannot overcome. I don't understand what the word failure means to me, just a lesson. If I do it over and over again, then it transforms from a lesson to just stupidity. So, that's the thing. And that's what I try to teach people, how to build that mindset, because at the end of the day, that's what will get you to success. I never invented anything. I did not invent cocaine. I did not invent disaster restoration. And I built multi-million-dollar companies in both. Same principle. Selling cocaine, selling cleanup services. Same identical principles. That's it. No different, no nothing, And it works. And it works for a lot of people that I've helped and that I've coached to do that, So, and I do, every once in a while, I'll do a mindset event. I recently did one with 12 very, very influential people in the wholesale real estate business. And I'll do like a 2-day event here in Orlando. And people come and they get to sit with me for hours for both days and just learn about, how to see the world and share their struggles. And, because we all struggle with the same thing, man. It ain't no different. It just got different names.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what our community is all about. That's why we love having you here with us and sharing all these great nuggets and great gems that you're sharing, because we're slowly finding out, especially as men, women say, hey, you guys don't talk. You don't talk about anything, but, it's a new breed of men going on here, guys that are in business. And, we don't mind sharing with one another. We're really moving into a lifestyle here. Our mindset, our culture is about collaboration, not competition. Right. And so we believe we can get a lot further. And that's one of the things that was brought up in the Netflix. And I was like, man, that was something. I think the reporter, he said that, those guys, collectively were way more stronger than they were apart from each other. Right. And that's the thing, building that force, building that collaboration, that glue, and keeping your word. Man, I can't, I don't know how it's going to happen, but Dr. Valdes, I'm speaking out to the universe. We're going to have you back. We have like 20 questions we didn't even get to. We have some more ideas, and you just have provided so much value for us tonight. We just want to take the time just to honor you, thank you, and appreciate you for taking time out of your schedule, coming in. I'm glad Rudy had the connection with you, right, for so many years. It goes to show that, you get together, you don't know who other people know. So, Dr. Valdes, we appreciate you. We thank you. You have your book Coming Clean. And for those people that want to reach out, can we put his YouTube back up again? And we even have some people here saying that they started following you already. So that's an awesome thing as well. Dr. Valdes, we appreciate you. Gentlemen, you guys complete?
We're complete, man. Doc, I just want to say thank you. There's so much rich value to your story beyond just the highlight reel. And thanks for really bringing us the true essence of who you are and the transformation and the gift that you're about to give the world. So we're looking forward to seeing you do greater things and partner with you, man.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it. I mean, I love Rudy. I love what you guys are doing. It's really critical. Collaboration is everything, because one of the things that brought the $1 Million Cartel, one of the principles I teach a lot about is ego. Ego and pride. It's so powerful. Think about it, man. We were the most powerful criminal organization on earth that brought a government to his knees.
Yeah.
And one dude's ego and pride destroyed it in 2 years.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Check that ego, brother, and check that pride. Humility and unconditional love will transform the most hardened of all hearts. So,
yeah.
Hermano, gracias por todo mi corazón. Te amo mucho, tu esposa, tu familia. Hasta pronto.
Okay, Rudy, God bless you, brother, and God bless you guys, man. Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you,
listen, hey, we can do it again, man. I really enjoy being with you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, brother. Be blessed.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Man, fellas,
that was fire.
I don't know if you guys caught that. I don't know if you caught that, but towards the end there, number one, he talked about vision, right?
Yeah.
And did he or did he not break down riches? Did you hear it? He said he started off spiritually, then he goes physically, and then he talked about, and this was awesome, the difference between entertainment and education. That sometimes we just tuning in just to be entertained. Man, he made me think of Gladiator. Remember Gladiator? We said, "Are you not entertained?" Like sometimes people just want to show up for the entertainment, man. But the nuggets that this gentleman was sharing is just breakthrough material. And oh man, I had so many more questions. You have no idea.
What's really great. What's really great is that again, we come for the highlight reel, right? The sizzle. We hear of the criminal activity, hear about the cocaine, and that's exciting. But what's really, really powerful is just the essence of what he shared. He talked about being a great parent, right? Nobody would have ever thought you would have heard about being a great parent, about being present, right? About relationship, about collaboration, about checking your ego. Man, I mean, talk about a masterclass in so many different areas of transformation. And hear what he says. Everything comes down to what? Mindset.
Yep.
The same principles. The same principles that he used in the drug cartel is the same principles that he used to build business outside. So these principles apply to everything that you do. I mean, you
come on, man. It's no. You try to tell us there's no secret.
No, man, come on.
There's no secret.
But see, and the beautiful part about this is that we live life one way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the beautiful of life is when we could come to a new mindset, a new enlightenment, and we could go backwards and see this. This is the reason why the question was asked about, can he now say that God was with him during his journey? Because he was atheist, didn't believe in God, didn't believe there's a God. But now his appreciation, God can make him say, God was with me throughout this journey. And we all have that within us, that new mindset can make us go back and realize the beauty of life.
Go ahead, Lamont.
No, I was going to say what I mean. It was simple, but it was true. He said, "There's no such thing as failure. No such thing. It's either lessons or you're stupid. Because if you keep going through the same thing, you're stupid.
Tough, boy. He's tough.
Yeah.
So he said no such thing as fail. It's just lesson. So when we fail, if you're not learning the lesson and you're repeating it,
You're stupid.
then that's where it comes in. But I just love it.
What got me was a simple line, man. The mic drop for me. I was making between $1 to $3 million a month. Everybody wanted to be me. I wanted to die.
Yeah. But, hey, yo, listen, we gotta simmer on that. That is, hey, yo,
hey, you got the pan with the onions and everything simmering on that thing. I'm gonna take a minute.
Listen, y'all gotta simmer on that because I mean, it's like every facet of life, everything about life is to chase to get to the bag, to get to the goal. And man, everything is about that. And this man is telling us he's at the peak of, I mean, some people don't get to $1 million a year. He's doing it to $1 million a month. But everybody wants to be him. Man, that's powerful right there.
Yeah.
And one more thing I could point out too is when he shook the guy that was his undercover that was investigating him, and he shook his hand, and he maintained a friendship with him over all these years because he said this: he was not my enemy, he's my adversary. And I think about everybody that always saying this my enemy, that's my enemy. No, there are adversaries, because peace within. Once you have peace within, then there's no one can be against you.
Yeah.
And that to me that's a gem to me that I felt. Whew.
That's the man was doing his job. He was supposed to chase me. I was not supposed to get caught.
Yes, exactly.
Simple as that.
It's that simple.
Listen, come on,
Hey
man.
know the rules to the game. I mean that's what it boils down to. What game are we playing here, right? And then learn those rules. Okay.
Yeah.
Heard.
Yeah.
Heard.
And for us, he blessed us with the last piece, which I think, oftentimes as we go to journey of life as men, as community, as people, togetherness always gets broken up by two things. Number one, ego and pride. Right. So, as we build this community and as we continue to strive and as we continue to go, we always have to make sure we put it in check, because the mission that we're here to accomplish is bigger than any individual that's on this stage. And so we have to make sure we always maintain, a little bit of, intentionality, not a little bit of intentionality about that, because it's always there, always present, lurking from an individual standpoint, from a group standpoint, to always take us out. So you got to keep protecting that. That's beautiful stuff, man. Yes,
absolutely. Man, you guys complete?
Yes, sir.
Man.
I'm full. I'm full.
Bro, listen here, man. Try going to sleep tonight. You hear? $1 million to $3 million a month, and the man say the same principles over here is the same principles. So it sounded to me, all you got to do is just learn the damn principles.
Because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, learn that.
Listen, and on that note, go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. I got an announcement. Can you put me on the screen, please, Mr. Producer? I got an announcement. Okay,
Go ahead.
Hey, brother, enjoyed it. Hate I had to run and not answer questions. If you want to do a follow-up with QA, we can do it next month. Why?
Hey, listen, man. Hey, man. Ask. Hey, Lamont. Ask. And you shall receive. Hey, man, put that thing out. That thing come right back. That's it. Done deal.
Listen, fellas. First of all, I got on y'all, because here's what we got to understand. Let's bask in this moment. See, and Lamar talks about this all the time. When people come to the show, there's one perspective, there's a viewpoint, right? But when they experience what we put together, they're home. They're home.
Yeah.
They're home. And so what we were able to, and I saw it in Dr. Valdes, he felt like he was able to express not just about the single aspect of himself that everybody focuses on, but to truly talk about what's meaningful, his real story.
Yeah.
His real story about his family, his real story about his family, his heart. He got to really share he got to share heart level.
Heart level, baby.
Heart
Heart level.
Yes.
Heart
Yes.
level. And you know what too is it was heart level because if you really listen, he said at the end that he doesn't try to promote, right, all the hype and the cocaine. And if you go back, those of you that are, when you go back and watch, you'll see he really leaned in on the transformational piece, the redemption part of his story. You can tell that that's really where his heart was, right? Because he didn't want to really give the rest to. Because I asked certain questions, he kept gravitating toward that transformation in who he now is and who he wants to show up as. Two things, I'm gonna say it right now, so I know next time we come back. He said, and during the Netflix special, Darian, he said, I believe that there gets to be a moment in time where you rather die than live without the persona you created. I didn't even get to that thing, man. I was like, I went in to talk about that, right? Because so many people were stuck in the current reality that they can't even move past that piece. That was one of the things. And then the other thing I wanted to ask him too was he said his dad, I believe he said, made him read all those books on biographies on great people. And so I was thinking to myself, I wonder if he found a common thread among all those great people.
That's good.
And if he's cognizant of that, and if he's not cognizant, all those principles that he's using and teaching currently, are those principles found in some of those books of the biographies of the great leaders he read when he was small? Because now here's a question I'm asking you guys. He said his dad used to clean, right?
Yeah.
And he said his mom always talked about God, 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 right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he wasn't trying to be about none of that, right?
Yeah.
And then when he came out of prison and he transformed his life, right? What's the two things he did?
Came clean and became
God. Come on now.
You surrendered.
Bro. Is that powerful?
I
was listening to him say that. I was like, man, he grew up to be like his parents, just at a higher level. He leveled it up, right? Awesome. Awesome.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, Dr. Valdes, we know you're out there doing your thing. We appreciate you, brother. We thank you that you are going to come back and see us again. All the people that commented tonight, although we didn't get a chance to share all your comments, hopefully we'll be able to capture these comments and bring them back next time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And we pull them back up
now. We got a few minutes till 8 o'clock, man, till we close out, man. Let's bring them up, man.
Yeah, so many people was just like awesome, amazing. I mean, it was so many comments, bro, coming through.
Let me say this before we talk about the comments. Listen, this community, this is what this is about, right? For us to be able to unleash. And so right now we're in our program. We have a 90-day mastermind that we're in, right, called Unleash Your Riches Mastermind. And so we're in the second week right now, but it's not too late. If you guys are interested in joining what we're doing here in Confidence Factor, if you want to be part of the community where you can get access to information like what we got tonight from Dr. Valdes, right, where people are paying millions of dollars to bring this guy in to speak on different topics, and you guys got to witness him for free. I want you guys to go over to confidencefactor.com. That's confidencefactor.com, and check out what we're doing with the Unleash Your Riches Mastermind. If you're a professional man, you are a man that's on the move, an entrepreneur, and want to be able to level up your success, join our mastermind group. We'll welcome you. Confidencefactor.com. That's confidencefactor.com. Check us out.
Yeah, those guys are getting unleashed. And listen, what we're talking about in that Unleash Your Riches program is exactly, literally what Dr. Valdes was telling you, right? About the spirituality. It stands, the riches. Unleash Your Riches stands for relationships, income, community and contribution, health and fitness, education and spirituality. And that's exactly where Dr. Valdes led off. He talked about spirituality. He talked about your physical health. He talked about how you eat, right? And he also talked about your education versus entertainment. So he touched on, and obviously we talked about income because we talked about making, $1 million to $3 million a month as a drug dealer, and then still coming back. Now, here's the beautiful part, still coming back and being able to produce millions from principles, not a secret, not some fancy name, not jumping around figuring all this stuff out, from just using principles. And that's what we're doing to Unleash Your Riches. We're using the principles that have been time tested so that we can reach success. And what we know now about success is success without fulfillment, Darian,
is the ultimate failure. It's the ultimate
there you
failure.
go.
And to that point, Sabrina actually made a comment. She said, amazing story. I don't know if you guys can bring up what she said. But she said, amazing story. She said, my takeaway is making sure you find your purpose in life. That's the key to happiness and fulfillment. Right there. Right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And also, ladies, if you're watching, we know this is a community for men, but this is for the men in your life, the father, the husband, the boyfriend, the uncle, the friend, the stranger, the boss, the coworker, the people in your life that you know as men are in need of community. They're in need of health. They're in need of all the things that we talk about here, Confidence Factor. Please share this. Go on our YouTube, youtube.com. youtube.confidencefactor.com. Share the link. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you share with every man that you know out there that are in need to be inspired, motivated, but more importantly, to have heart-level conversation that's going to lead to transformation in this community of entrepreneurs. I had to mention that.
Yes,
all right, Bobby,
yeah.
take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few people here. Bomi Moore says, hey, that's powerful. I can't wait to share this. So we even have, look at that. You said, I can't wait to share this. We already talked about Bree. Bree was very engaging tonight. I think she got a lot out of it as well. She said, children want our presence and not our presence. This is big. And I thought that was pretty cool as well. Just being in the presence. This guy is loaded. This is amazing. That was powerful. Thanks for tagging me, Dr. Love Jones. Nicely done, Rudy. Loved it. Great show tonight. So many different comments. So many people got so much from it. So you guys know we're going to be back to next month with Dr. Valdes as well. And so tonight, we hope you really were just blessed by all the value. And I'm going to give you tonight's inspiration injection. And it's actually two. We're going to do two inspiration injections because Dr. Valdes at the last moment put a little twist on the one that I was going to share. So during the Netflix special, he made a statement. He says, it doesn't matter how we fall. It matters how we get back up again. It matters how we get back up. And the second thing he said, if you listen right at the end, he didn't know that this was going to be inspiration injection, but he said, it's not what you see, but it's the lens through which we see. Mm-hmm. Guys, we appreciate you for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining Confidence Factor Talks. This is where we have heart-level conversations that lead to transformation. If you didn't sign up already, join our Unleash Your Riches program. You can go to confidencefactor.com. And what we say here at Confidence Factor, in everything that you do, make sure that you keep it
heart level.
Heart level.
See you guys next week.